Some names from World War II don't just sit in history books, they stalk them. The kind of names that made radio operators go silent, that made soldiers grip their rifles tighter, that made entire cities brace for impact. These weren't just generals, they were storms in human form. Strategists so ruthless, so precise, and so psychologically terrifying that their reputations often arrived before their armies did. And once those reputations arrived, fear usually followed. Welcome back to Hidden Histories World War II, where we don't just talk about the war, we pull back the curtain on the people who shaped it. Today we're diving into the most feared generals of World War II. Not the most famous, not the most decorated. The ones whose presence alone could tilt morale, change outcomes, and leave scars long after the guns went quiet. Let's get into it. Erwin Rommel, the Desert Predator. When Erwin Rommel took command in North Africa, he wasn't supposed to win. He was sent to stabilize a failing front. Instead, he turned the desert into a hunting ground. Rommel earned the nickname the Desert Fox, not from propaganda, but from terrified enemies who couldn't predict him. He attacked when logic said retreat. He moved when intelligence said he was still refueling. His armoured columns appeared out of dust storms like ghosts, cutting off supply lines, surrounding strongholds, and vanishing before counterattacks could land. What made Rommel truly feared wasn't brutality. It was speed and deception. British commanders reported that fighting Rommel felt like fighting smoke. By the time you hit him, he was already somewhere else. He personally scouted front lines, often under fire. He rewrote plans mid-battle. He weaponized chaos. At one point, Allied troops joked that Rommel must have had spies in every tent. In reality, he just understood momentum better than almost anyone in the war. When Rommel was on the move, entire commands went into panic mode. Because in the desert, one mistake didn't cost a battle. It cost everything. If Rommel was feared for speed, Georgy Zhukov was feared for inevitability. Zhukov didn't just defeat German armies, he shattered them. He was the Soviet Union's ultimate problem solver. When a front collapsed, Zhukov was sent. When a city was about to fall, Zhukov arrived. Moscow, Stalingrad, Kursk, Berlin. The bloodiest, most decisive battles of World War II all carry his fingerprints. German generals feared him because, once Zhukov locked onto a target, he didn't let go. He absorbed losses that would have broken other commanders, then came back harder. His strategy was built on pressure. Constant, relentless, crushing. He understood that war wasn't only about maneuver, it was about endurance. And Zhukov's armies endured until the enemy couldn't. German intelligence reports described him as cold, brutal, and, unstoppable. He coordinated massive tank formations, overwhelming artillery, and deep encirclements that erased entire field armies. When Zhukov commanded a front, German officers knew retreat might no longer be an option. Zhukov didn't scare the enemy because he was unpredictable. He scared them because he was coming. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto never needed to shout. He didn't posture. He didn't threaten. He calculated. Yamamoto was, well, the architect of Japan's early naval dominance. A Harvard-educated strategist, he understood American industry, American psychology, and perhaps most of all, American impatience. He knew Japan simply could not win a long war. So he designed a beginning so violent, so shocking, that it just might break resolve. Pearl Harbor was his signature. In just one morning, the Pacific changed forever. After that, Yamamoto unleashed carrier warfare at a level the world had never seen. He moved fleets like chess pieces across thousands of miles of ocean. He struck suddenly. He disappeared into empty water, and he turned aircraft carriers into the new kings of war. American commanders feared Yamamoto not because he was loud, but because he was smart. He knew how they thought. He knew their habits. He knew their weaknesses. And for a critical stretch of World War II, he exploited all of them. When the United States finally targeted Yamamoto personally, it wasn't symbolic. It was strategic. Because as long as Yamamoto lived, the Pacific was never quiet. Fear doesn't always come from aggression. Sometimes it comes from absolute certainty. Bernard Montgomery rebuilt broken armies. Then he made them believe they couldn't be beaten. When he took command in North Africa, British forces were exhausted and, well, humiliated. Montgomery didn't promise miracles. He promised discipline, preparation, and, victory on his terms. He studied every inch of terrain, really leaving nothing to chance. He stockpiled obsessively. He drilled his men until their movements became instinct. And when he finally attacked, it was with overwhelming force. His victory at El Alamein didn't just stop Rommel. It reversed the psychological flow of the war. German officers came to fear Montgomery because he did not gamble. He didn't rush. He didn't crack under pressure. When Montgomery fought, he fought battles he had already rehearsed in his head. He removed uncertainty from war, and uncertainty is where hope lives. Facing Montgomery meant facing an enemy who would not attack until he knew he could win. And then he always did. Douglas MacArthur didn't command quietly. He commanded like a force of nature. He was dramatic, defiant, public, and, well, terrifyingly persistent. After being driven from the Philippines, he made a promise that echoed across the Pacific. I shall return. And, well, he meant it. MacArthur mastered island warfare. He didn't waste time crushing every Japanese stronghold. He bypassed them, isolated them, starved them. He carved a path straight toward Japan, stepping from island to island like a general climbing a ladder. Japanese commanders feared MacArthur because his strategy made their greatest strengths useless. Fortresses were ignored. Garrisons were abandoned. Entire armies were left to rot without ever firing a final shot. Where MacArthur landed, supply lines died. Airfields followed. And, well, defeat became permanent. He didn't just beat positions, he erased them. The most feared generals of World War II didn't rely only on guns and tanks. They understood something deeper. Fear moves faster than armies. Fear collapses morale. Fear breaks decision-making. Fear creates mistakes before battles even begin. Rommel made enemies doubt their maps. Zhukov made them doubt survival. Yamamoto made them doubt safety. Montgomery made them doubt victory. MacArthur made them doubt the future. And in war, doubt is deadly. These commanders didn't just fight battles. They controlled the emotional battlefield. If you're here, it means you're not satisfied with surface-level history. You want the power players, the hidden forces, the minds that shape the chaos. That's what we do here on Hidden Histories World War II. If this episode gave you value, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who loves real war history. And stay locked in, because the stories you don't hear in class are usually the ones that mattered most.